Welcome back. It appears that I have a hive on my face and maybe it's in distress about it. This is what I deal with when Ted's not here. You know, you think when you have two cats, it's like you guys keep each other company. And so I can leave for 5 minutes to just go to the store and you'll be okay, but they don't talk to each other. They don't really engage. They're more into humans, you know? And so sometimes I just have to look at her feet. Sometimes I have to, shh, 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 shh. Okay, all right, we're good. We're all good. I don't know how I raised her by myself before Ted came along, because she's just like, she's something else. I love her to death, but she's following me. Well, I'm just gonna go in here. Little house tour. Oh. Actually, I've changed my mind. Look, there's Wizard. Minding his own business. Hi, buddy. So, I have a hive, but I can't put anything on it because I'm having a perioral dermatitis flare-up. Can I put anything on? Anyway, perioral dermatitis flare-up. Rock on. But I'm on antibiotics. I'm on doxycycline for it because a lot of people will be like, here's my trick. This is how, first of all, people, I'll get, because I get it from time to time. This is my 3rd flare-up. People will say, this is what I do. Change the game. Listen, if you've given me a tip, I've tried it. Or if you ask me, how do I get rid of this? Listen, antibiotic, that's all I can say. Believe me, I've tried everything because I want to do an antibiotic as my last resort, right? But the oral antibiotic is the only thing. But listen, it's been a week and it's going away, but I'm a little nervous because I'm, you know, what if whatever. Okay, I can't talk about it. This is the new way I'm air drying my hair. I just split it in 2 and then I do this. So if it looks weird, just know that I'm aware. Because I have really wavy hair, but it's like, in my opinion, it's not super cute. It gets like big and frizzy and like, it's like find a pattern and stick with it. You know what I mean? It doesn't do that. So I've been doing this and then behind my ears and it dries like really smooth with like a little bend in it. Anyway, I've been making some pottery at home. Cause I'm depressed. And I haven't really left the house. So I went and got some clay. Hi, baby, long time no see. And I've been making pottery at home and look at this gorgeous stuff. Okay, oh. And I made, yeah, why don't you show them? Show them what I made. This and this. And then this will be a little ring holder. I need a holder for my engagement ring, and so I made this little guy. I'm like, maybe it'll be cute. Some mugs. I really love, you know, I haven't been like a hand builder. I'm more a wheel girly, but I really love the look of a handmade, you know, a hand built thing. It looks just so rugged and imperfect. This will be a candle holder, hopefully. I made 2, but the second one didn't work out. Anyway, this isn't going as planned. I need to give her attention for a little bit. Okay, I'm back. Hive is still here, but now I'm watering the plants. Look at this cute watering can. Okay, Ted. Before Ted and I lived together, he bought this at a boutique, a local boutique, for $50. And, you know, it was aspirational. He's like, I'm gonna be a plant dad. And does he water a single plant in this house? No. Okay, all of his plants would die if it weren't for me. But it's okay because guess who inherited a really cute $50 watering can? Me. Yeah. Plant watering day is a big task in this household because I have so many of them. And I want to talk about the app that I've been using for years to take care of them, and that's Planta. And I'm partnering with them for this video. I'm so excited. I've literally been using this app for years, okay? So I know I'm like super into gardening and plants and stuff now, but when I first started out, I didn't know a thing. And all of my plants died all the time. I killed so many plants. It's really a tragedy. And Planta is the app that really helped teach me and get me organized and start learning how to take care of them. So Planta is an app that helps you take better care of your plants. It has a lot of different features, including reminders of when to water your plants, when to fertilize them, and when to repot them, because sometimes you don't really think about that. Plants need a lot of nutrients. So it takes into account where you live and what the weather is like. And you can also add whether it's next to an AC vent, a radiator, heater, because that's also going to affect how to care for your plant. And I know a lot of different plants have like full sun, part shade, part sun requirements, and that app has a built-in light meter, so you can know exactly how much light your plant is getting and if it's enough for its needs. But two of my favorite features of this app is the plant doctor, for one. So if your plant is showing signs of like disease or it's dying and you don't really know why, you can actually take a photo of the foliage, and the plant doctor will like diagnose what the issue is, and then you can learn on how to care for it. The other favorite feature of mine is plant identifier. So I'm gonna actually show you in real time, because for my birthday a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine gave me this plant. And it's actually not looking so great because I have not identified it yet. So I don't know what the plant needs. So it turns out it's a calathea, which, okay, I thought it was a calathea. It's a calathea orbifolia. So now I've added it to my database, and now it's going to remind me when I need to water it and tell me when I need to fertilize and care for it. So with Planta, you just don't even have to think about it. It just tells you what to do, and then you're able to just check off your tasks as you complete them. So you can use my code Joanna14 for a 2-week free trial on their premium membership, and I think you and your plants will be very happy. Okay, so while I water my plants, I'll catch you guys up on what's going on. So it's been a really freaking rough couple weeks. So I know we were talking about getting ready to go to the East Coast to have our engagement party with our families. And I was obviously really nervous about that and having a hard time, like I always do before I travel, because God forbid it ever gets easier, you know. But sadly, Ted's stepmom passed away. She had been sick for quite a while, but really took a turn for the worse, and we were just hoping and praying that she would make it to the party so we would be able to celebrate with her, but sadly that did not happen. So we ended up having to postpone the party, obviously, which is totally fine. It's not super important. We can celebrate anytime. It ended up happening like a week before we were scheduled to leave, so we ended up changing our flights to fly into DC rather than Philly. And then Ted had to leave even earlier than me, so I was then gonna be flying alone, which I haven't done in years, and even flying with Ted is like such a big deal, and I like cry and like several days before, and I have like multiple therapy sessions about it. Anyway, long story short, I didn't end up going, and I've just been like having a really hard time with that, because this is a person I really cared about, and obviously this is my fiance, and just like all of the reasons why I wanted to be there, but I couldn't get out of my anxiety. Like I tried so hard and I just couldn't. And I'm like talking like really lightly now, but I'm like, it's been such a difficult week. Just a lot of crying, a lot of just beating myself up. I just like, you know, I feel like, so because of like all the anxiety I was, it wasn't even just anxiety, like because of the anxiety I was experiencing, like I just get like, if you struggle with anxiety, you know that like it can really like affect your behavior and like your brain. It's just really hard to concentrate. And like I told you, I'm on an antibiotic for my rash, my dermatitis, and it looks incredibly similar to my antidepressant. I take an SNRI for my anxiety. And if you've ever been on an SNRI or even just an SSRI and have missed a dose or come off of it or whatever, I don't even have to tell you the onslaught of like withdrawal symptoms. So in my like kind of anxiety haze, just like trying to go through the motions, I forgot to take my medication like 2 days before I was supposed to leave. And I was trying like really hard to just like gear myself up. I'm having just like such bad anxiety. I booked like an emergency session with my therapist, just like trying to get myself prepared to take this flight on my own with like no notice whatsoever. And in that crazy time, I forgot to take my antidepressant, which I never ever do. Like, I've been taking medication since I was like 13 years old. I don't forget, okay? And you only have to do that once or twice to know like how bad it feels to like never do it again. But because of just the circumstances, and because like I saw the pill, the doxycycline, just like for some reason it just like registered in my brain as like normal. Like I was taking my medication. The day was going on and I just like felt so awful. And I'm like, you know, anxiety can really cause a lot of physical symptoms. And so that's what I thought it was. And I remember texting Ted, like, he's like, how are you doing? I'm like, it was that evening. And I was like, I take it in the morning. So it was that so I missed that dose that morning. And so then it's the evening. And I'm like, I don't feel good. I feel withdrawal-y. That's what I said to him. I'm like, I feel like withdrawal. And he was like, you know, it's probably just anxiety. I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I just like kept feeling bad as the night goes on. Like, it's like, you know what I'm talking about? Like those brain zaps, but it was like getting to a point where like the time I was getting ready for bed, I was like, no joke, hallucinating. Like, not fully like hallucinating like things that aren't happening, but like lights out of the corner of my eyes, just like shadows, just like my vision was just like not good. And when I would turn my head, this freaking girl, when I would turn my head, like everything was kind of like like catching up later, and I was feeling so nauseous. I was like having diarrhea, sorry. I was just like, something's wrong. I'm trying to go to bed. I'm just like, this whole time I'm thinking like this is anxiety and like it's just really eating me alive. And I'm like, just go to bed, like it'll be okay. And I get in bed and something told me, because I keep my medication in like in an organized pill thing, like because I take a lot of like vitamins and supplements too. So just to keep everything organized, I keep it on like a weekly thing. And I had just refilled it the night before, which is when I like, whatever. So I just had the thought that I'm like, did I not take my medication? And I like got up to go check, thinking like, this is just, you know, I have OCD, and sometimes like when I get a thought in my head, I'm like, just check, rule it out. And so I got up and I opened up the pill case and like looked in all the things, and my medication wasn't in any of them, and it was just the antibiotic with all of like my supplements or whatever. And then I just like, it hit me and I just started like freaking out and crying, because I was like, I can't believe I just fucked myself like this. Like, when I'm trying so hard to like do everything I can to like mentally prepare, I just went and screwed myself so bad. I was so sick. Like, I never want to feel like that again. I was so scared. Like, I was like shaking and sweating in my bed. Like, I took the medication immediately. But I was like trying so hard not to throw up, and I have like emetophobia, so that sent me reeling as well. But like also maybe but like also for like the reason of like, I just took the medication, like I can't throw up because I need it to like get into my system. And so I just literally sat upright. I couldn't even lay down. I was like, I was crazy. I was shaking. I was like, how do people go through drug withdrawal? I don't know. Like, when I went off of Cymbalta to go onto this medication years ago, I tapered it off for a year because of how severe the symptoms were. And I don't want to scare anybody if you're like having to get off a medication. Like, it's possible. I got off Cymbalta. I was totally fine. Doing the slow taper is the way to go. This was like overnight, and it was not good. And I just like, I knew I was in for it. So like the next day was the day I was supposed to be like packing, getting ready, and I was so sick. Like the medication was like in my body now, but like I had missed a day and I was still just dealing with the after effects. And which is like, it was, I don't want to use this word lightly, but it was like traumatizing. Like I was just by myself, like going through some of like the worst withdrawal I've ever experienced. And it was all my fault. And I just like felt so defeated. And I just like wanted to, I don't know, like I just like can't rehash it right now, like, but anyway, so I ended up deciding like it would be best not to travel right now, with just how everything was going. And it took me like a good like 4 or 5 days to like feel back to normal. Yeah, it's hard even just like admitting that to like seemingly strangers. Like I know a lot of you guys have been watching me for a long time, but like it feels vulnerable because I truly felt like the worst person in the world. Like I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like really mad. Like, why am I mentally ill? Like why am I mentally ill? Like I feel that way sometimes. Like it's just, I wish I could have just like gone back and picked something else, you know? It's like when I was being like created, it's just, I just wish I could like, you know, wish on a magic lamp and like just pick something else, another ailment, you know? Why mentally ill? It's just, and I feel embarrassed. Like I just, you know, it's just that like quirky anxiety feeling where you're just like, everyone hates me and I'm a big burden. Oh, I don't want to cry right now. So anyway, yeah, so it's just been rough, and Ted's not here, which always is harder just because it's just me, with my thoughts, and you know, the house just is quiet, and I'm just trying to distract myself doing pottery at home. I'm starting to feel better, but you know, I'm just still not feeling myself. Like I think death in general just can kind of like bring up some things and like make you feel a certain way, and like that on top of everything else, it's just been a hard couple weeks. I always feel embarrassed. I realized yesterday, I'm like, I always feel embarrassed when I like share like my mental health struggles and stuff online. And I had the thought, I'm like, birds of a feather, man. It's like, I'm mentally ill, you're mentally ill, right? I'm like, I'm not trying to like be accusatory or like diagnose anybody. I'm just saying, like, I just feel like, you know, people who are like get drawn to each other. And that was just like, I had the realization. I was just like, okay, maybe there's a select few of you who are watching who's like, I've never had a mental health issue in my life. And it's like, okay, more power to you. What do you get out of my content? I don't know. But like, I feel like the majority of us, like we all are similar. And so I'm like, I shouldn't feel embarrassed. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. Like we all just kind of like get it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that made me feel better. I just like had the realization, like, why do I think I'm the only mentally ill person in the world? Anyway, because I am. That's what it feels like sometimes. So yeah, I haven't been leaving the house. And I need to go grocery shopping. And I'm like trying to work up the courage. It's just, I eat so poorly when Ted leaves town. I don't know why. It's like, it's not like he cooks every meal for me. Like he does cook a lot for me. I also cook a lot for him. I think the combination of like him not being here to cook for me and him not being here for me to cook for, I just like don't, you know, it's like when Ted's here, I'm like, okay, we're having chicken with some roasted potatoes and some charred broccolini. And then he leaves and he's like, what'd you have for dinner? I'm like, Cheez-Its. You know, and that doesn't help your mental health. It just doesn't. It's like, it's almost like you need to leave your house and you need to eat like real food. It's crazy. So annoying, right? Anyway, and this hive isn't helping. It's like, I know I said I would choose any ailment but mental health, but it's like, it's got to be either or. It can't be hive and mental health issue. I need to like get it together. I'm like looking around, I'm like, the house needs to be cleaned. I canceled our cleaning people because I was like so sick on the couch, and I was like, I can't literally lay here on the couch while people clean my home for me, and I can't leave the house while they do it. So I had to cancel, and now it's like I gotta reschedule because this is there's cat hair everywhere, and I can't bring myself to do it. Anyway, I was supposed to be watering the plants. Isn't that crazy how I'm doing like one task a day at this point, and you know what, that's a win. Sometimes it's a one task a day week, and that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm really loving, look, I made this planter. I love being back into the pottery studio. I feel like home again. I'm like thinking about things to make. I'm going to the studio. I've been going every Friday. Studio Friday. I didn't go this Friday though, but that's okay. I did it at home. I had a Studio Friday at home. Yeah, I'm just like, whew. COVID did a number. And then, you know, it's not even just like COVID, like the disease. It's just like the whole state of the world for the past 2 years. I'm watering this plant while it's in this. Yeah, I hear you. And normally I take it to the sink. Actually, normally, I know I like said Ted doesn't water the plants, but he does the hanging ones because I don't like to do those, and he takes them to the sink. I don't feel like doing that, so I'm just doing them while they're hanging, and I'm hoping that it's not gonna leak. Anyway, yeah, the state of the world the past couple of years just really did a number, and I get like really pissed off sometimes because it's like, I was doing really good. Like I was like really, I had like a mental, okay, here's the timeline to catch anybody up. I had moved across the country. I've always had anxiety and depression and everything. Moved across the country in 2015, started a new life, and I was thriving, you guys. I was traveling, I was thriving. Like I really felt like my anxiety was under control. And here's the thing, I reached a point where it was like, I never like had the coping skills. I just like was on medication, right? So that was just my way. It was like medication works, okay, and I lived my life. There was no coping to be had, no tools in my toolbox. And then life catches up to you. You think you can run from it. You know, what's the saying? It's like, anywhere you go, there you are. Anyway, so here I was in LA, living my best life, truly. But the trauma of like getting out of a bad relationship, moving across the country, changing my whole life, trying to make it by, being poor in LA, trying to make rent every single month, working like odd jobs. Anyway, it caught up to me. And then I had a mental health crisis where I just kind of like bottomed out, had zero tools to help. My medication failed me and I had nothing. And so I had to start from the beginning, essentially. And since that time, I feel like something in me changed that has been really hard for me to get back. And it's just the fear. It's the fear of like the worst can happen, I think. Like I liken it to like when you're young, you know, when you like ride a bike or you rollerblade, you know, the things you do when you're young where you can't even imagine doing them now because you know the pain of being hurt. Whereas a kid, you don't. And so that's kind of how it felt. I felt like I was going through life without knowing. Anyway, so like it's interesting because I had so many mental health crises in the past, like as a teenager and as a tweenager. But I think there's a difference when like your parents are taking care of you and you just like, you know, and the medications are working or whatever. There was just a different experience when I'm like on the other side of the country. I'm an adult taking care of myself and I don't know what to do and the medication isn't working. It just I felt truly terrified. And since then I feel almost like a crystal figurine. Like, I treat myself that way sometimes, and that I'm like, careful, you know, you don't know what can happen, like, careful, careful, because, you know, now you're at this place where you don't want to go back, and like, because you went back before and you don't want to do that, and what would you do then? And it's just this like loop that I get stuck in, and I just feel like I'm not living, you know? I feel like I've done so much work, but I'm just not living the way I want to be living. I don't know. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah, I feel like COVID really set me back, you know? It's like right when I feel like I'm starting to like dip my toe back out, it's like I was traveling again, and it was still really hard, but it was like, I think back to like what I was doing just a few years ago, and I'm like, man, I really was getting back there, and now I'm like, I was knocked back even further again. But I guess that's life, you know? It's like you get knocked back, but then you get up again. Not to quote Chumbawamba, but they were onto something, I think. That's life. So yeah, there were a few years ago where I was traveling alone and I was doing just great, and now I'm not, and that's, you know, that really sucks. But, you know, we just gotta keep moving. At least I have tools now, you know? I have a lot of tools. But it's hard. It's hard to even, like, get started. Like, I love my metaphors. The way I look at, like, what I did years ago, or the process I began, was like cleaning out your purse. You know, when your purse is like over the years or months or however long, I literally carry purses for years, so that seems normal to me. Your purse just becomes like this like abyss of just like junk. And when it's like, okay, time to clean out your purse, you don't start taking out individual things. No, you dump the whole thing on the ground. And then it's this huge mess. But then you start little by little cleaning it up. And that's how I felt like the mental health stuff was for me. It's like, okay, dump it all out, and now you're just like, here I am with all my shit. And then you get little by little, you start picking it up, dusting it off. Do I need this? Do I not? Okay, blah, blah, blah. Find a place for it. And that takes a long time. I wish it took 20 minutes, like actually cleaning out your purse, but, you know, I'm just an impatient person. Yeah. So I don't know, yeah, maybe I hope this is like relevant to somebody watching and maybe feeling like it's hard to look back, and we always look back with rose-colored lenses, you know, and we think, oh, I really, you know, I was so beautiful then, or I was so much better, or I was so much happier. And it's just like not true, you know? I mean, I think maybe sometimes, but, you know, I look at my life now and I'm like, God, my life is so much better. Like, I'm so much happier. I think it's just like the mental health stuff is like, I think there were just other times in my life where I was just really living, and I'm just not really living right now. I'm living in fear, and that's really hard. And we always wish that it was as simple as like, okay, well now you realize it, now you can change it. And it's like, but the fear is still there, and the hardest thing you can ever do is do something while you're afraid. And when you have anxiety, you're always afraid. And it's like, you know, it's not just like sitting in the discomfort. It's like, you have fear for a reason, and it's there to protect you. And so when you're afraid of something, even when it's irrational, it's like, it takes so much strength to like do it anyway, because everything in your body is telling you not to. Yeah. Well, at least maybe left me alone. Psych. I love you so much. You know why I love her so much? Because she's anxious. And we just get each other, right? But I'm telling you, when you're overstimulated and she's screaming in your face. Sorry, I'm chewing on my skin. That's really disgusting. Sometimes I just get a little too comfortable on here. Okay, my hair's almost dry, and you can kind of see. Just a nice little bend. I'm liking this. I haven't had the energy to do my hair. So my mom and I were going to dress shop while I was home, and so now we're not doing that. And we're getting in May, which is in like 2 weeks. In like 3 weeks, we'll be a year out from our wedding. And I'm scared, not because I'm like afraid to get married. Like I literally can't wait, but because I'm like, I don't want to dress shop. Like I don't feel pretty. Anyway, that's a whole other story. And I was like, literally Googled, like I was like, how late can you buy your wedding dress? I should just do it. I think I've like built it up in my head to be this whole thing. It's like, it's just a day. It's like gonna be the most happy day of our lives, no matter what. But I think like, I've just built it up in my head to be like, this is the day where I look the best and I feel my best and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it might not be. And that's okay. Because it's still just gonna be our wedding and it's gonna be the most wonderful day. So I should just go dress shopping and just, anyway. Oh, I can like jump from one crisis to another. This is just like what it's like in my brain. It's just like all the things I need to worry about. And then here she is, staring at me. Maybe. I love her so much. Meanwhile, Wizards of this is their complete opposite personalities. He's just like, I'm just sleeping. I don't know what your problem is. Hello? I love them. All right, well, I'm gonna go chill out for a little bit after the hard day I've had. Okay, I don't know why I said that. I think I'm gonna try and work up the courage to go to Trader Joe's. And then I can make myself dinner tonight. And I think that's a good place to start.